Hey, what's happening everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're taking a look at the REMOVU S1 gimbal for your GoPro. Now this gimbal is compatible with the Hero 3 line GoPros, the Hero 4, and as well as the Hero 5. REMOVU, thanks for providing the Hero 5 for me to review the S1 gimbal. So we're gonna start out with a quick little unboxing kind of thing to see what's in the case. Then we're gonna put it together, get some test shots, see how it works with the Hero 4 as well as the Hero 5 that I have over here. And yeah, let's get right into it. So the case itself, it's nice, it's durable, it's also water resistant, so that's great. Get some REMOVU S1 branding here on the side as well as on the front. So let's get in this. So there's like a little slot here, you unzipper that and you get a bunch of different accessories. So we got the USB cable, a Hero 4 case, a frame, the charger for the remote as well as the battery for the gimbal, extended back door for the waterproof case, a little tether, little hand strap, the Hero 5 housing, and a counterbalance weight that you can attach to the gimbal when you're using the backpack with the gimbal. So in here we got the gimbal, the waterproof housing, the Hero Session mount, as well as the handle, the grip, as well as a little plug for the gimbal to make sure that no water and no dust gets into the gimbal. All right, so let's first start off by talking about the REMOVU S1 hand grip. So the hand grip is light, it's not heavy at all, and like you saw before, it does come with a detachable remote control, which allows you to control the S1 gimbal. It does have like a little knob on here, so you can actually pan the GoPro up, down, left, right. You can also switch modes, and it has an OLED screen on there, as well as the power button. So this links up with the REMOVU S1 gimbal through Bluetooth. So it's easily placed right back in. And it also has a little slot at the bottom here, so you can untwist the bottom and open it up, and you can store 2 SD cards. It looks like it does have a little opening in there too, so you could store some other things. I guess if you're traveling, you can store some money. And just remember, not all S1 gimbals come with a $100 bill. Okay, so let's move on to the S1 gimbal itself. So it's a 3-axis gimbal, and on the side here you have the power button, obviously to turn it on, turn it off. You have the link button, which is gonna allow you to link the S1 gimbal to the remote control, and the mode button, so you can switch between pan mode, follow mode, and lock mode. On the back here, you have the opening or the attachment for the handle, so you can stick that in, as well as a USB port so that you can do firmware updates. The other thing you have here is the battery, so you pop that down and you can stick the battery in, take it out, do whatever you want to do. Let's lock that up. On the top, you have the OLED screen, so you can see what mode you're in, the battery life, and on the bottom, you have the standard GoPro attachment, so you can get this attached to the chesty, you get attached to your helmet. Basically, you could use any of the GoPro standard attachments and get that attached pretty much anywhere. The next thing we have here are the frame mounts. So if you notice, they're like a little different than the regular frame mounts. So these are custom made with the attachment for the REMOVU S1 gimbal here. That's the Hero 4 and Hero 3, Hero 3 Plus frame. And this is the Hero 5 one as well. So you have the, you know, the special attachment here that allows you to attach it to the gimbal. I'll show you a little closer look at that a little bit later. And also the waterproof housing has the same exact attachment, and you have access to the mode button, the side button for going into the settings, the shutter button, and all that. Now, you might be wondering, why would they include a waterproof housing with an electronic gimbal? Well, the thing is, this whole S1 system is rain resistant and water resistant. So you can actually get this gimbal wet and it won't affect the motors on the gimbal. Now, it's not completely waterproof. Obviously, you don't want to take this underwater, but if you do get a little rain on there, if you get a little bit of water on there, it's going to be fine. Just wipe it off and your gimbal will be working just fine. So now I think it's time to get the GoPro attached to the S1 gimbal. So what I'm gonna do first is grab the frame mount and get the GoPro inside and lock it in. Now I wanna get the hand grip attached to the REMOVU S1 gimbal. So what REMOVU did was, to make this as simple as possible to attach, is they added white dots on the hand grip, a white dot here on the gimbal. So all you do is just line those white dots together, push in and twist, now it's locked in. Now you also have a white dot on the S1 motor right over here, and then also on the frame mount. So all you do is line that up and twist it and it'll lock in. So I'm gonna power it on and by default it's gonna turn on in pan mode. So I'm in pan mode, I can go left, right. It's gonna keep the horizon always straight. Now the next mode, if I switch it, is gonna be follow mode. So what follow mode is if something's interesting going down below, I can point it down and it'll slowly go to that and keep it stabilized, as well as if I point it straight up, it'll do the same. Now the next mode is lock mode, and what that is, it just keeps the camera pointed in a straight position, and it's not going to move. If you twist it left, it's not going to go left. If you twist it right, it's not going to go right. So that's what lock mode is. So I'm going to go back to pan mode, and now I'm going to turn on the remote control. So I'm going to hold down the power button, and remember, there's a joystick, so if you push up on the joystick, the GoPro will point up. If you pull down on the joystick, the GoPro will point down. Now when you're in pan mode though, you can't make the GoPro go left or right when you use the joystick. I'm hitting it now, it doesn't work. What you have to do is go to lock mode. So if you hit the joystick, you could push in on it and switch the modes. So now I'm in follow mode, I'll push it again. Now I'm in lock mode. So in lock mode, I can go up, I can go down, and then you can also go left and right. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is how to use the LCD backpack or the battery backpack when using the REMOVU S1 gimbal. So this is where the counterweight comes in, this little thing right here. It's going to attach to the motor here on this side. So I'm going to push it in, line it up, and it's snapped in. So you notice it's very bottom heavy now. You want to put the REMOVU S1 gimbal in backpack mode. So what you do is just hold down the mode button for 3 seconds and then let go. And then you'll see a B on the LCD next to the battery icon, and basically that means it's in backpack mode. Now, the cool thing about the REMOVU S1 gimbal is that you can have it mounted either on this side or on this side. I'm right-handed, so I would want the S1 gimbal mounted on the right side like this, so I could see the screen. If I was left-handed, I wouldn't be able to see the screen that well. Okay, so now you can see that it is mounted in the left-handed position, and the first thing you notice is that the GoPro is upside down. What you would do is go in the GoPro and then just put it in upside down mode. But if you don't want to do that, what you can do in editing is just flip the video 180 degrees and then your video will be upright. So here we have the Hero 5 and the Hero 4 Black. And I just want to show you what you have access to and what you don't have access to when you're using the frame mounts. So let's start off with the Hero 4 here. So on the front you have access to the mode button. On the top you have access to the shutter button. On this side you have access to the HDMI, the USB, and the SD card slot. Now the opposite side of that, you see that you have the REMOVU S1 gimbal attachment. So you lose access to the settings button. So you're not going to be able to change your settings like the resolutions, the frame rates, accessing ProTune, because that button is not accessible. So what you're going to need to do is set your GoPro up to what resolution you want or frame rate before you put it into the frame housing. Or you can use the GoPro app to change up your settings. Now with the Hero 5, you have access to the shutter button on top. You have access to the power button and mode button here. Here's a closer look. REMOVU added a button here so you can power on the GoPro using that button. And there it is. And of course, you can see the screen on the back. So now what I want to do is get the Hero 5 attached to the S1 gimbal. And what I want to look for is if there's a weight difference between the Hero 4 and the Hero 5. So I'm going to let go here. The gimbal is off and you can see that it's dropping to the left, which means it is a little heavier or off balance compared to the Hero 4. So most likely we're going to have to use that counterbalance and add that to the motor. And because we're adding that, we're going to have to enable backpack mode. So you can see it's already a little bit much more balanced. I'm going to turn on the gimbal and I'm going to enable backpack mode. And I mean, it looks like it's doing fine. Now, just real quick, the Hero 5 frame is not available just yet. I think it's gonna be released mid-December or end of December. Not too sure yet, but I'll keep you guys updated in the comments. Okay, so what I wanna do now is test out the REMOVU S1 gimbal and see if the GoPro Hero 4 is gonna pick up any of the motor noises from the gimbal when I'm moving it around. So I'm gonna be quiet for a second and I'm just gonna be moving the gimbal and we'll see if we hear that. Now with this next test, I'm gonna have the REMOVU S1 gimbal in lock mode. So remember, that just leaves the GoPro in one spot. But what I wanna do is actually use the joystick built into the remote control and move the GoPro left to right, up and down to see if we hear any noise. So here we go. So I actually can't hear anything, so I'm not sure if it's making any noise. Let's go up. All right, next test is with the Hero 4 in the waterproof housing. Again, we're doing an audio test, and we're gonna see if the motor's noise get picked up by the GoPro mic. All right, we're now in lock mode. Gonna move it around a little bit, and then we're gonna pan to the right, to the left. Go up, down. So the sound quality with the Hero 4 in the frame mount actually sounded really good in pan mode. Now when we switched over to lock mode and we used the joystick to go up, down, left, right, the GoPro picked up a lot of the motor noises from the gimbal. Now when we were using the waterproof housing, I was quite surprised that the sound was actually really good. It picked up my voice really well. It did have a little problem, maybe not too much with the motor noises in pan mode, but it kind of sounded like it was moving around a little bit, so it picked up kind of like a clunky sound. Now when we went to the lock mode position and we were using the joystick going left, right, up, down, it again picked up the motor noises. So I do have an alternative on something that you could do, like if you really need to use lock mode and have access to that joystick, but I'll talk about that after we test out the Hero 5 in the S1 gimbal. So let's get on to that test. Now this next test is going to be with the Hero 5. I do have the counterweight on and I do have backpack mode on. Video stabilization is disabled in the GoPro Hero 5. So we're going to do the same test. I'm in pan mode and I'm going to move the GoPro around and we'll see if it picks up any motor noises. All right, so we're doing the same test. I got the S1 gimbal set to pan mode, but on the GoPro Hero 5, I set the mic to wind only mode. So let's do the same test. We're gonna move around. Again, I'm not hearing any motor noises, but curious to see what this sounds like. So that didn't really sound that good, either in pan mode or in lock mode using the joystick. Now the Hero 5 has two different mics, so it kind of switches between the two and kind of guesses which one it thinks is going to be better for the current situation. Now when we forced the Hero 5 into wind only mode, it was a lot better, but it still wasn't that great. Now just keep in mind, I'm shooting indoors, so it's like the worst case scenario because there's not much noise going on. It's very quiet. Earlier I was talking about an alternative for the Hero 4, And what REMOVU makes is a wireless mic system. So it's called the REMOVU M1A1. So this is the wireless mic. You could attach it to your shirt, your jacket. This is the A1. It's the wireless receiver, and that attaches to the back of the GoPro. All right, so I got the REMOVU A1 attached to the back of the GoPro. I got the wireless mic here. I'm in pan mode. I do not have the counterweight on, and I don't have backpack mode on. So we're just gonna get a few test shots, move around, see how the gimbal does. And obviously you're not gonna hear the motors because the mic is on me. It's away from the gimbal. Now earlier we were in lock mode and going left to right and we heard the motors. So let's do that real quick. You're not gonna hear it. So here we go, left, go right, go up and down. So like I said, if you require good audio quality and you want to use the lock mode feature and be able to pan left and right, up and down with the joystick, you're not going to be happy with the audio quality. You're going to need to get a mic system sort of like this so that the mic is away from the gimbal and you don't have to worry about the mic on the onboard GoPro picking up the motor noises. Okay, so now I want to get some actual test shots. I'm going to be doing some walking, some running, and we're going to check out and see how smooth the gimbal is. So let's do that. So I think the gimbal is actually really smooth. The only problem that I run into is that when I'm twisting the gimbal too quick, it kind of jumps around a little bit. So other than that, if I'm going in a straight motion, not doing fast turns, the gimbal will actually perform really good. Okay, so we're doing a little running here. The shot looks smooth. Gonna do a little turn around Diana, slow little pan, and then capture her from the side again. Now you notice like a little bump there, and I think it's because I twisted it past the REMOVU S1's range of motion. I got the S1 gimbal set up in follow mode here, so I could easily just point the gimbal down, slowly go up, and the gimbal will follow in that motion depending on how you have it aimed. Now what I want to do is attach it to my chesty. So you can't really see it from this shot, but the chesty is actually bouncing around like crazy. It's on as tight as it goes, but it is moving around. But it looks like the gimbal is actually doing a really good job at compensating for those bounces. However, when we do fast turns again, we're going to get some jumpiness. And also, if you turn around too much, it's actually going to pick up the gimbal in your shot. So another thing that you do with the REMOVU S1 gimbal is mount it upside down. So for this particular shot, while it's mounted on the chesty, you could mount it upside down and then you might avoid seeing the gimbal in the camera shot. So here's a quick explanation. So if you have the REMOVU S1 gimbal mounted on your chesty in the upright position and you lean forward too much, the gimbal will be in the shot. If you have the gimbal mounted upside down and you lean back too much, the gimbal will be in the shot. Okay, got it mounted on my helmet now. In case you can't see that, I'll tilt it down so you can see them in the reflection. Okay. Just gonna walk around with this big helmet on my head. Now, again, the REMOVU is doing a decent job at stabilizing this shot. I mean, I am running. You wouldn't normally wear a helmet and run around. So if I was on a bike, say, or a skateboard, or even snowboarding or skiing, you know, the shot will definitely look a lot smoother, but I can't say for sure until I actually do that. And just to let you guys know, I do plan on going skiing and snowboarding, so once I do, I will bring the REMOVU with me, and I will be testing that out.
It's still recording.
All right, we're switching over to the Hero 5 now. I have the mic set to wind-only mode, and we're just going to be checking out and see how smooth the shots are. So in these test shots, I'm switching between pan mode and follow mode. One thing I realized after doing these tests, when in follow mode, when you pan from bottom to up, if you go too quick, it'll actually pick up the gimbal in the shot. Okay, so we're using the Hero 5 again. I have the audio set to wind-only mode, and I have the GoPro set with the image stabilization. So for this test, I really just wanted to see if you enable the image stabilization in the Hero 5, if the shots will come out even more smoother. And just keep in mind, if you do enable image stabilization in the Hero 5, the image gets cropped by 10%. So from what I could see, it does look like the shots are much smoother. So if you need added smoothness, I would recommend to enable the image stabilization in the Hero 5. So another great thing that REMOVU did with the S1 gimbal is that they allow you to calibrate the gimbal in case it ever gets out of balance. So to do that, you want to remove the bottom piece, the GoPro attachment, and put the gimbal on a really flat surface. And what you're going to do is just power it on and just wait a second. And then what you want to do is hold the link button and the mode button at the same time for about 3 seconds. And then let go. Then you want to hold the gimbal and camera in place, make sure it doesn't move, and the whole process takes about 10 seconds. I can feel the gimbal doing something, it's trying to move, but you want to keep it as still as possible. All right, it looks like it's done, so I'm going to pick it up and you'll notice that the gimbal is just dead. It's not doing anything, so what you want to do now is just power it off and then just power it right back on, and now your gimbal should be perfectly calibrated. Alright guys, so that's going to wrap up this video. If this video helped you in any way, just hit that like button. I definitely appreciate it. And if you have any more comments or questions, you can leave them down below. Now, if you think I maybe missed something and you think I should maybe do another follow-up video, let me know what you think that should be about. And just remember, I will be taking this snowboarding and skiing very soon, so you'll see that on my vlog channel. So if you haven't subscribed to that already, click right up there and it'll take you to that. As well as I did a few more test shots on my vlog channel using the REMOVU S1 gimbal. And if you're interested, check out the description down below. I got a link to this if you're interested in buying it. But yeah, that's it guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you in my next video. How fast is that?
Fast.
Was that like 20 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Damn, you run real fast.